Well, welcome or welcome back. If you're new to American Mah Jongg, today's lesson is a gift. We're talking about quints and like numbers. These two categories on the National Mah Jongg League card are incredibly beginner friendly. These tiles are from Mahjong Maven, the triple layered royal purple. And here we have the suits that are easily identifiable and the winds and the flowers and jokers, and then we move into the dragons. This is a really nice set because there's no guessing as to what tile you're playing with. So I'm going to show you the first hand in quints. There aren't a lot of hands, and also in the lines there's only one hand. So this one has a value of 40 and it's exposed, which means you can claim a discard and expose your pung, your kong, or your quint. You can't use a joker in the pair of flowers. So any three suits and any three consecutive numbers. So you're not limited. These are not fixed numbers. So this is what your hand looks like. They just have to be three consecutive numbers. And the smallest number or the largest number you can start with would be a 7 because you have to have three consecutive numbers. So 7 crack, 8 bam, 9 dot, three different suits. And this is what the pattern looks like. This is kind of like a step ladder. Pair, pung, kong, quint. And it's fairly simple. Also, what's nice about this hand is you can easily pivot to a consecutive hand, and vice versa. From a consecutive hand, you can pivot up into a quint. And let me show you some of those hands. So if we look at the consecutive run here, you have 4 flowers, you have a kong, a pair, and a kong, 3 suits. This is very similar to that one up there. So these two would easily be able to pivot one into the other. If you don't have enough jokers, or if you're starting to get a lot of jokers, you can increase your value there. So in the second line here, it can be any two consecutive numbers, and it can be any wind. There just happen to be showing the north here. So it can be north, it could be east, it could be west or south, and any two consecutive numbers. These both have to be the same suit, and I will show you what that looks like. So this is what it looks like. So you have your quint, your kong, and your quint. It goes up and down and up, kind of a W. I think that's, I think in last April, somebody was calling this like a W hand. It goes up and down and up. Fairly simple. And again, this can be pivoted over into consecutive runs. The only issue is that consecutive runs this year does not have any wins. But so you can toggle between the quints and consecutive runs depending on which way your hand is moving. If you're starting to get jokers and if you're starting to get some wins as well. You could also make this four jokers like this. And then all you have to say is, okay, here's my hand and this is my wins. That's perfectly acceptable. So there's no pairs in here, and there's also no singles. So there's no like news, there's no 2025, and there's no chow in here. So you can use jokers in each of these blocks. Our last hand in the quint section is like numbers. So we have a pair of flowers, a quint, a pair, and a quint, and this is worth 45 points, and it's exposed. So you can claim a discard in the middle of the game. The problem with that, well, I don't know if it's a problem so much, but it would be easy to figure out what this hand is. So if you have your pair and you have the majority of your hand, then that shouldn't be an issue too much to expose. If you quints can be easy to figure out with exposures to a certain extent. So like if you had a quint of 9s and then you put up a kong of west, well, you know that you would need 8 in the same suit as this quint. So people would not be throwing you that if they're paying attention. That's also worth 45 points. So this is what that hand looks like in real life. We have our pair of flowers, and this is the block. And we have our quint of 3 cracks, and this is the block. We have a pair of 3 dots, and this is the block. And we have a quint of 3 bams, and this is the block. So it's a very distinguishable block. And this is like numbers. And again, this can easily be pivoted over into the like number section. So we are moving into the any like number section. And there are only 3 lines here and 3 hands. So as we're looking at this first one, we have a pair of flowers. We have our Kong of whatever number. And then we have the dragon that corresponds with that suit, whatever suit we choose. And then we have another Kong of the same numbers, like numbers. And then we have the dragon that corresponds with that Kong. And then we have a pair in the third suit. Now remember that flowers are not connected with any suit. So our 3 suits are with your numbers or dragon, so to speak. And let me show you what that looks like. This is what the hand looks like with tiles in real life. We have our pair of flowers, and that's what the block looks like. I chose to do the 6s for the like numbers. So we have a Kong of 6 cracks, and this is the block and what it looks like. We have the single with the dragon. Now this dragon goes with cracks, so this dragon here has to match this suit. And then I chose to have the 6 bams as our Kong, our other Kong, and then the green dragon goes with that. And then our pair is the 6 dot. So we have our pair, our Kong, single tile, Kong, single tile, and pair. And that's what this looks like. This hand, I don't know if I want to say easy. This is worth 25 points, but the like number section has been really lucrative for me this season. So let's move on to the second one. The second hand can be a little tricky, especially for beginners. So this is what this hand looks like in real life. We have our Kong of flowers. And again, you can use all jokers for flowers. You can use jokers for any Kong, Pung, or Quint. We have our pair 4 dots. I chose 4. We have our Pung of 4 bams. We have our Pung of 4 cracks. And we have our other pair of 4 dots. And this is our block. So we have Kong, pair, Pung, Pung, pair. And that's what the pattern looks like in blocks. Now, where people get kind of mixed up is they see these as the Kong. And this is no, you cannot see it like this. You have to see this hand like 2 separate pairs, even though it's the same suit. These have to be treated like pairs, which means that you cannot put a joker in either of these. You cannot use a joker, and you can only call Mahjong if let's say a 4 dot, let's say I'm waiting on a 4 dot and it was discarded. I can only call that if I need Mahjong, because you cannot expose a pair. I can't call a discard and then expose a pair. You can only do that for Pung or Kongs or Quints. So that's what this hand looks like. And it's worth 30 points. That's pretty good because you can expose that and that and that if you need to. And the thing is, if you're exposing your Kong and then your Pung and Pung, this actually could be, if you're choosing 2s, or well, I chose 4s, so there's a similar hand in 2, 4, 6, 8. And if these were 5 or 2s, this could actually could be a hand up into the 2025 because there's a Pung, Pung, and then a Kong. So if this was 2 or 5s, people wouldn't know necessarily that I was doing any like numbers. And let me know if you have any questions on this hand. Again, I hope I explained this about the pairs. They're pairs, not Kongs, and you have to treat them as such. But if you have any questions or need clarifications, please put your question in the comments and I will get back to you really soon. And we're going to go to the last hand under like numbers. And this is our last hand under any like numbers. And I have done this hand a lot. I really like this hand. It has come in a lot for me, and it's a closed hand and it's 30 points. So again, you have to remember your closed hand or your exposed hand. So I cannot claim a discard for any of these pungs and expose any of them. Any discard that's claimed has to be for Mahjong. So it's like numbers, any 3 suits, and any dragon. So this dragon can be a red, a green, or a soap or a white dragon. Soap and white dragon are the same. So let me show you what that looks like in tiles. So this is our last hand, and it's a closed hand. So we have our pair of flowers. I decided to give the 8s a little love. So I have my pung of 8 dots. I have my pung of 8 bams and my pung of 8 cracks. And then this I'm saying is my dragon. So for dragons, you can use all jokers or you can do any combination. You can do that. So these can be any jokers. This can be red, green, or soap. And this is what it looks like in blocks. So we have our pair, pung, 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 pung. Now, even though there's a lot of pungs here, you cannot call a discard and expose a pung because this is a closed hand. And also you cannot use a joker and a pair. So the only time that you can call a discard is if you're calling for Mahjong. So if I need 1 flower and somebody discards a flower and that's all I need, I can call it for Mahjong. But if somebody discards a joker, remember, you can't call that and use it. So that tile is dead. Jokers are dead. They're the safest tiles to discard because they cannot be revived and used. So, and if, let's say I just needed an 8 bam, let's say I've got 14 here. So say this is what my 13 tiles look like. And somebody discards an 8 bam, then I can call it and expose and say Mahjong, and then I expose everything. But you have to put this on the top of, so remember when you call it, you have to put this on top of your rack. You cannot put it in the slope part of your rack. So you say call Mahjong, and then you expose everything to the top of your rack. And that's that in regards to calling a discard and putting it on the top of your rack. There's no penalty for social play, but in a tournament, your hand will go dead. So when I've been playing in tournaments, there's been some new players and players that play on the internet that they will do that and their hand will go dead. Okay, so that's it for the quints and the like numbers. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.